What's up, guys? It's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to PXA Peeks at Steredenn. Steredenn? I don't really know what the word is, but here we are anyway. So this is a game that actually came out last year, and I got a review code for it just recently, sort of unprompted, and I didn't notice at the time, and I was like, oh, well, this might not be the most relevant video anymore, but I still wanted to make one because holy crap, this game is awesome! So yeah, this comes to us from a tiny little team in France called Pixel Nest. And well, at its core, it's very simple. It's a roguelike shmup. And I mean roguelike in the proper sense of the word, as in there's no persistent progression, you die, and it is hard as hell. So we're gonna dive right into this here. So there's no real story in this. It's incredibly simple. It's, well, here. They done blowed up your ship, and you're gonna wreck the fools who done it. Yeah, that's basically it. But, you know, what more do you really need in a shmup, you know? So, the idea behind this game is that you are going to go through a number of different stages, which are, to a certain degree, randomly generated. They're not entirely, but they are a little bit here and there. There are random elements to it, especially when it comes to the enemy patterns. And your goal is to try to get through to the end, killing the randomly generated bosses along the way, and eventually take out the big baddie what wrecked your home base. That's pretty much it. I have never gotten remotely close to the end of this thing because it gets real hard real fast. And as you can see there in the upper right, this is also a score attack game. There are score values attached to taking out the different enemies and objects that will stand in your way, and there's a multiplier concept to it as well, so you kill guys in rapid succession and without taking damage, and the multiplier goes up, you get bigger score. So the core levels are relatively small, as you saw there. It didn't take very long to get to this first boss here. And the bosses are different as well. So you can see here he's actually hitting out a number of different attacks with a number of different bullet patterns to them. And this will mix and match depending on the bosses as well. So you won't get the same boss twice in a row always necessarily. So you have a health meter, which is there in the upper left corner, just signifies how many hits you can take. There is no way to heal except finishing a level. So when you complete a level like this, there we go. So you complete a level like that, you get your health back. That is the only time you get your health back. So you gotta manage that in the levels. And as you can see here, you get to choose a different power-up at the end of each level. So some are purely score-based. Certain weapons in the game actually have reload and cooldown times that you can improve, and these are randomly picked as well, so it's not always this batch you get to choose from. There are different ones after that. I'm going to pick this one here. So you get to have up to 2 weapons at a time. The game boasts an arsenal of over 35 weapons, and one of the things I really love about it is the variety. The variety of weapons in this game is insane. So you always start with your sort of standard blaster like this. So this was another weapon that I picked up that I actually like, which is called gunboats, which are kind of like, if you remember games like Gradius and things like that, they're kind of like little options. You deploy these things, and they automatically seek and lock on to nearby targets. And as you can see, you can actually deploy a bunch of them and then swap back to your other weapon, and they'll stay alive. They're very weak. They can't take a lot of damage, so you have to be careful about managing that. But there's other kinds of weapons too. There's torpedoes, there's homing missiles, there's a thing called, I believe it's called either the jaw or the claw, that basically turns your ship into a massive, like, well, gaping metal jaw that chews up enemies. So it gives you very limited range, but it's an incredibly powerful attack that can take out almost anything in one shot. And that's kind of neat as well. So here's one here. Let's replace our gunbolts with this. So yeah, here's another one, the saw. Super low range, but look at this! Oh, power fantasy, right? And this variety is really cool. They all have their benefits and disadvantages, of course, but you get to swap between them. All you have to do, I'm playing with an Xbox One controller. You can play this with a keyboard just fine if you want, but on this, you just press the X button and you can switch your weapons on the fly, kind of like that. You only get 2 at a time, so you have to mix and match your stuff, and I died because, of course, I did. So, yep. Games in this don't tend to last very long. And because this is a roguelike, well, a couple of factors to that. Because this is a roguelike, number one, when you die, you die. You reset to 0. There's no persistent upgrade system like a rogue lite would have. There's no persistent progression system. There's no permanent upgrades. There's no anything like that. You start back from nothing. Everybody gets the same level playing field start. But because it's also a roguelike that has a lot of random generation, because as you can see here, this enemy pattern in the first level is completely different from last time, there is a certain amount of RNG or randomness to it. So if you may have a better run with one play than another just because of how it chose to generate the levels. Some people would call that unfair and unbalanced. I call it the way of life with roguelikes. That's the way it goes. So in general, the first level is always fairly short. So other levels you will have seen there, even in that last playthrough, that other levels can have longer lengths before you get to the boss. So it's not always the same amount of progression here. And this is your goal. You will have a series of levels you have to get through. There's quite a number of them. I actually don't remember how many, but I've never gotten more than, I think the best I ever got by far was 5 levels in, and that was, I only ever did that once. So it's very, very tough. But as you can see here, this is, to a degree, it's a standard shmup in terms of some of the enemy fire patterns, but it also gets a little bullet helly at times. I always respect bullet hell shmups. I'm terrible at them. I have always been terrible at them. Keep on shooting. Yeah, no, we did that already. Reflect damages when hit. Let's do that one. So this has a little bit of both. If you're not a fan of bullet hell, I think you'd probably still like this because it doesn't get as ridiculous as most like traditional Japanese bullet hell games do. It never gets that complicated and just to the point where it really is more of a puzzle game. Because that's the thing with the really hardcore bullet hells is while I respect them, especially because of the design that goes into them, I've never been the biggest fan of them because they really are less shmups. I kind of boned myself there. They're really less shmups and more puzzle games. And I'm not good at puzzle games, so I've never really been the biggest puzzle game player. Oh my god, what are you doing? So you see here, you get quite a variety of different enemy types with different behaviors. The enemies that, the enemy types are all very visually distinctive. So enemies that behave in certain ways, you'll know what they look like. So you can, with a little bit of practice, you can anticipate to a degree what to expect when you see an enemy on the screen. Their appearance will telegraph their behavior to a certain degree, which is something that for high-level play in this, and I imagine for just finishing it in general, will become extremely crucial. So you're sort of seeing the idea of it here. It's getting through stuff as quickly as you can and trying to get up the best score and trying to get to the end and doing it with the combination of weapons that you like. The thing that I really love is the weapons vary so much and in such crazy ways that it really encourages a number of different play styles. Not just replaying the game, which obviously there's a lot of replayability in this because even when you, even when you beat the game, you can go back and play it, multiple times and get different levels and things like that. But it encourages not just general replayability, but just different play styles. If you want to focus on short-range melee attacks, you can do that. If you want to focus on homing attacks, you can do that. If you want to focus on energy weapons like this, because there are different energy weapons that have different spread patterns and things like that, you can totally do that. And all of them are viable. If you really dug deep into this, I'm sure you could find certain weapon combinations or whatever that are probably more OP than others. But it's absolutely possible to really mix things up. And if you want to challenge yourself and play a particular way, a way that's not your preference, and maybe up your style that way, you totally can. So like here's the super gun. This is one I actually really like because it's basically the base blaster, except it's got a redonkulous spread on it. Now, not necessarily the best thing against a boss like this, because you can see this with the spread in the center by the size of the bullets is a little stronger than the outer spread. And because the boss is in a relatively, thin part of the screen here, that's not necessarily going to work all that well. But you can swap that out and work with it as best you can. Any weapon is viable. It just requires you to have a little bit of a different strategy to it. Oh, you dick. Oh, this guy's being mean this time out. So, yeah, this game is bloody hard. It will kick the living crap out of you in very short order, and that's the point. It's a proper roguelike. It's designed to be hard. It's designed to really reward practice, iteration, and replay. That's what you've got to do if you want to get good at this. Bullet autocannon. I don't even know what that is. So you can see here, there's 35 weapons and 25 upgrades available. Those are the little upgrades there. So there's a real variety of stuff you can do with this game, which is what I really, really enjoy about it. I never heard of this when it came out last year, which is kind of a shame. I would have really liked to have covered it then. But I'm really happy that the devs just decided for Kicks to send me a review code, because this, I've been having a ton of fun with this. I've been playing it a little bit every day. It doesn't take very long to get through a session if you suck at it like me. So what I've been doing is, let's keep the super gun, but let's swap out the blaster with the plasma gun. So the interesting thing with the plasma gun is you can see there it's an energy weapon, right? So shooting it, does a lot of damage, but shooting it also slows you down, and you can see above the weapon name there that there's a meter. So you can overheat the gun or run out its ammo. So you got to make sure you let off regularly to let it recharge. And there's also power-ups that can make it so that they either recharge quicker or have bigger clips, things like that. So again, different variety that really requires you to manage your playstyle in a different way. But this gun also is powerful as hell and will beat the snot out of whatever it hits. And with a smaller boss like this, why the hell is there a Doctor Who thing down there? I've never seen that before. Please tell me I can get something from touching that. Nope, I guess it's just an Easter egg. Ha! That's hilarious! I've seriously never seen a TARDIS in this game before. That's completely random. I can't do anything with it. It's just sitting there and going by. That is so awesome! See what I mean? Little stuff like that. Like, what I like about this game, and you can tell by the name of the power-ups and some of the bosses, like those weird little intro texts that you see below the boss's introduction, this is a game that doesn't take itself seriously. Like, its mechanics are very seriously well designed, but it's also it's goofy in its own little way. It's having fun with itself. It's an arcade game, and it knows it, and it's enjoying it. So you can see here what's involved. You see you've got the little map at the bottom there. So I did the first level, there's the second level, and then there's third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and, well, the bosses get progressively harder till you're basically fighting what looks like a city, I guess? I don't know. And also, the game will loop when you finish it. So if you can actually get to the end and finish it, it'll keep going, which allows you to build your score up. Of course, this game does have leaderboards, and it also has, here, let's back out here. You can also hear by pausing, so you get a little rundown of the upgrades and stuff that you have installed. So the game also does have, like any good roguelike, it does have a daily challenge mode. This is very simple. It is one seeded, randomly generated level that everyone's going to play, and there's you do it for leaderboards. Now, I unfortunately already did yesterday's before I recorded this, but it literally plays the same way, but you only get one run at it, and it marks your highest score. Unfortunately, because this game's been out for a while, the daily run leaderboards are not that big right now, but as you can see, there are still some savant level people playing this thing. So, you know, it's cool that that's there. You also have what's called the arena mode. The arena mode is literally just any boss that you've run into so far, you can fight one-on-one. So I can go in here and, you know, pick one of the 13 bosses that I've seen so far. You get to pick your weapons as you want. You get to basically set up a layout as you want. It's practice mode is really what it is. Cool, though. I like that. Gives you an opportunity to do that because, again, practice. Oh, are you going to need practice with this? You see, it gives you a little timer as well, so you can sort of perfect your time with it. So that's kind of neat. I'm not going to focus on that too much because that's really all there is to it. Nice little addition, though. I like that. What else do we got here? Yeah, and you also have Super Play mode. So here's the objective here. Super Play mode has no randoms for waves, weapons, or upgrades. Super Play is a special mode that removes some random parameters from the game. This way you can confront your friends on a fixed variant of the game and see who is best. So it basically allows you it's basically pre-seeded. So you get to pick seeds that say, here is a static version of the game, and you can have everyone play this static version and compete on a level playing field if you want. Again, really cool idea. I really like it. And look at the variants. There's a lot of seeds in this sucker. So you can just play the game, you know, in a very set way if you want to compete with people. Really nice addition. I like that. I think that's a cool little thing. It's just taking the established formula and putting a little twist on it that makes it more interesting. And, of course, here's the leaderboards. I am pretty low on the boards because that's me with games. The people at the top, crazy people, or people using cheat engine. I'm not sure which, but, you know, can check your friends list. Renji had a... Man... That guy did real well at this game. So it's nice. Leaderboard stuff, relatively basic, but it does the job. You know, no problem there whatsoever. And in addition to that, I love the production values in this game. It's a pixel art game, which a lot of people are like, oh good, pixel art, yay. But I just love the look of it. It reminds me very much of another fantastic indie shmup, whose name I'm completely blanking on right now. What the hell is the matter with me? the Jamestown. Thank you. Good God, brain. Wow, I needed more coffee. So yeah, it looks a lot like Jamestown. It's that same style. And Jamestown was an absolutely A1 indie shmup that came out on, well, on a bunch of stuff. It came out on PC. It's been out on various PlayStation platforms as well, and maybe the Xbox? I'm not sure. But it looks like that. But I love that pixel art style. Like, I think it's really nice. It's kind of it reminds me of, it's sort of DOS era. Like, the pixels are a little bigger, you know, it's not really so much pixel art as, like, the pixels are very, very large. It's almost like square art, you know what I mean? And it's a style that I actually quite like when it's done well. It's colorful, runs at 60 frames a second, obviously. The animations are very good. These bullet patterns, some of these bullet patterns that are generated are actually really, really nice. You know, what a lot of bullet hell enthusiasts will like is the fact that the bullet patterns are very artful. You know, they almost look like miniature art pieces. And I think a lot of these actually look really, really nice. And they did a really nice job with it. And also just, I think the soundscape is very good. I think the sounds... the explosions and the gun sounds are very good in a, you know, a sort of basic sci-fi way. And also, listen to this friggin' music! I love it! The music in this game just gets you so amped. You're like, yeah, let's go kill some aliens! And it's just, it gives you, it's so good at making things super energetic, and it really is in keeping with the fast pace of the gameplay, and I really, really like that. So many games in general, but so many high-energy arcade games just don't do well on the soundtrack, and just they don't make a soundtrack that is in keeping with the level of energy they want you to feel while playing the game, and this does it just perfectly. It's not really metal. There's hard guitars in it and stuff, but it's almost like light industrial. It's metal, but there's also electronic in it, and it's perfect. I think this is the absolute best kind of soundtrack for this. It's a little repetitive. I believe there's either one track for each stage in the game or slight variance on it, so it is a little repetitive. I guess if I really wanted to be picky, I could say, yeah, it would have been nice if they had a little more variety so you weren't hearing the same tracks all the time. But I think the tracks are so good that I don't really care, frankly, because I'm enjoying it as the background so much for this. I think it suits it absolutely perfectly well. And yeah, because it's a pixel art game, it will probably run on a pretty low-end computer. I didn't try installing this on my laptop, which just has Intel graphics, but I'm sure it would be fine. Because this probably does use some measure of 3D acceleration just to help with the frame rate and stuff like that, but it's not, if it does, it's not very significant. This is not a demanding title at all. And yeah, it's $10 US, which is not a bad deal for this. You could put a lot of time in this. This is an interesting power-up here. Build a shield when not firing. So if you can hold off your fire, it will actually build up a shield that can save you, basically give you a couple of extra hits, which is really, really handy. So there it is there. And that shield will stay built up until you take damage. So you only have to get it built up and then not get hit as long as possible. And if you do, you try to hold off firing, which admittedly is not the easiest thing in the world to do in this game, but if you can do it, it will give you basically a free hit, which especially against bosses can be very, very handy. So let's go back to the boss. So here's the demuxer. So this is a really cool one. This is another weapon that shoots in multiple different directions, and you can see the most powerful element of the shot, that sort of wave shot, moves in whatever direction you're pointing. So if I push forward, it will shoot forward. I push back, it will shoot back. So you can get some incidental damage from all the different enemies out there, or do incidental damage to all the different enemies on the screen with the ancillary fire, but you really want to make sure, especially when you're fighting a large-scale enemy, that you point it at the main target that you're hitting so you can get extra damage and take it out super quick and maximize your multiplier. The scoring system in this is interesting. You earn a very small amount of points per enemy, as you can see, but obviously if you can keep things going and get your multiplier up really high, you will your score will start to increase very, very fast, even in spite of the fact that you may not be doing a lot of damage on a per enemy basis. That's an interesting system that I think is kind of cool. Too many games, when they design a scoring system, either have one that scores too low in general or too high in general. They can rarely come up with a system that allows you to... Oh god, seeking missiles. They can rarely come up with a system that allows you to have it score low, but also have a multiplier system that allows you to turn those low scores into high scores very quickly with skilled play. And they pulled that off here too. I quite like it. Oh jeez! Oh god! Oh, I don't like this at all. It's been a while since I beat the third boss, so let's end this on that. So it's pretty obvious from the video so far, but I think this game is amazing. I really... Well, okay. But yeah, I think this game is amazing. I really, really enjoy it. I really wish I'd gotten access to it earlier or known it existed, because I probably just would have bought this myself, honestly. I would have needed a review code for it. But I wanted to do a video on it anyway, because even though it has been out for a while, it is so, so good. And if you like shmups and you like roguelikes, this is a pure version of both of those, and it is great fun. I've been playing it a lot. I'm going to probably keep playing it a little bit every day here and there. One day I'll beat it. Not sure when, but one day I will beat this thing. I'm having an absolute blast, and I think it's a great job from a small team. As you can see there, the team is 5 people, and yeah, I think you guys, if you're into either of those genres, you would like it quite a bit. Comes with my high recommendation. So yeah, that is Steredenn, developed by Pixel Nest Studio in 2015 for the PC, and I believe it's on the Xbox One as well. I should have looked that up, but I want to say I saw that somewhere. So if it is on the console as well, that's an alternative way to pick it up as well, which would be fantastic. I think it's a great time, and for 10 bucks, it's a damn good steal. If you like shmups, you like roguelikes, get it. My name is Parallax Abstraction. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw here, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That would help me out a great deal. And I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, guys.